Well, hello, everyone. Hey, I want to welcome you to this month's webinar, live monthly webinar. Today's topic is going to be on working styles, and it's so good to be with you. I'm coming to you from the beautiful state of Montana today. Love coming up here. I have the privilege of coming up here once a month. For those that don't know me, my name is Mark Christensen. I'm the founder of the Learning Point Group. We've been around for 33 years now, and I'm also a senior consulting partner with the Ken Blanchard Companies, which has been a tremendous amount of fun. Okay, so I want to take just a few minutes and talk to you today about working styles. And if this piques your interest a little bit, if it inspires you to take a deeper look into this, then please reach out to me. Be happy to share with you some resources and some ways to do this. And I'm going to share some of my favorite resources on today's webinar. Now, here's the core question. What is the experience that other people have working with you? Okay, what is that experience like? What is it like to work with you? And is that important for you to know that? And then secondly is what do the people that you lead, if you have the privilege of leading other people, if you work in a team setting, then what are their preferences? What is their style? And how can you best adjust and accommodate to their needs as well? All right. What is the impact that your style has on important operating results, safety, quality, production, cost, and morale? Now, if you have been with me or listened to any of my webinars or any of my training, you know that I emphasize these 5 points quite a bit: safety, quality, productivity, cost, and morale. And my premise, my suggestion, my opinion is that your style does impact all of these things. So your style, your leadership style, your working style does actually drop to the bottom line. Okay. And so here's a few things to keep in mind, to consider when it comes to your working style, is that leadership requires self-awareness. The entire emotional intelligence frame of information and knowledge is focused on this idea of self-awareness, and not much other leadership can happen until we actually develop the capacity to be self-aware. And that means being aware of our own style. In other words, being aware of the experience that other people are having working with us. Okay. And leadership requires flexibility. And so we need to be ready and willing to adjust our style, adjust our approach to the needs, to the needs of the situation and to the needs of the people that we're leading with. Leadership flexibility requires an understanding of the people we intend to lead. Not all people are the same. We know that. They are all different. They all have different preferences. They all have different needs. And so we need to be ready to adjust our style to match with their style. Now, we believe that style is made up of lots of different things. Okay. There's a lot of things that go into our style. Some of it begins to develop the day that we're born, continues to evolve and develop through all of our years. And that includes gender, our generation, our education and our work experience, our life experience, the skills, the abilities, the motivation that we have, even the ability and motivation that we have for a specific goal or task. And I'm going to talk about that more here in a minute. Our learning preferences, our learning experience, our learning resume, our cultural background, okay? Our communication styles and preferences, and our personality. All of those things together make up our working style. And some of those things, if you notice some of those words, sometimes we avoid exploring those areas within the work setting because we feel like they're, protected classes, or we're not supposed to discriminate or make hiring decisions or employment decisions based on certain classifications. This is true. However, that doesn't mean that we can't, as leaders, get to know our people based on all of those aspects, okay? Because true diversity, true inclusion is more robust and more productive when we actually have an understanding of the full elements that a person brings to the work party. So it's our style, but it's also their style. Okay. Knowing those things for ourselves, being self-aware around those things, being able to articulate well when it comes to our style, and then also understanding and exploring with curiosity and with respect the elements that make up another person's working style really is the core of good leadership. All right. So some of the things I like to explore with people and with groups, management teams that I have the opportunity to coach is What three words would you use to describe your style? What three words would you use to describe the experience that other people have working with you? What is your personality type? What is your cultural background? How would you describe it? How does it influence you in your work? How about your generation? Now, I happen to be in a certain generation that's moving along in years, right? And so there's some benefits to that. There's some challenges to that. There's some nuances to that. All of that can be positive. None of it has to be a negative if we actually approach it with the right frame of mind, with the right mindset, and with the intent of actually including those elements into how we interact and work with each other, our education and experience, how we prefer to learn, life's experience, ability and motivation, other things. These are all discussion points that can take place, should take place within your key relationships and within your team. And then the same thing with your work associates. To what degree do you know these things about other people? What three words would you use to describe the style, the experience that you have working with other people? Okay. And oftentimes when we have a not so great experience working with people, it's not necessarily because they're damaged or something's wrong with them. Oftentimes it's a lack of full understanding between the two of us. Okay. And so when we introduce here in a minute, I'm going to introduce the resources that I think, they're my top three when it comes to understanding and adjusting our style, especially as leaders. When we do that, when we use tools to help us understand our working styles, I think it's really important to take time to assess what they are for ourselves. And there's some great tools to do that. And then to discuss what we learn about ourselves with some close associates. Those could be family members, they could be partners, they could be colleagues, they could be close friends, they could be work associates as well. So we use tools to assess ourselves. That informs us. And then we discuss what we've learned with people that know us very well. That's really where the real meaning happens in those discussions, I think. The tools just give us an opportunity, a structure to have that discussion. And then as we experience day-to-day life, we go through conversations, we work on projects, we have opportunities to interact with people, we experience conflicts and challenging situations, whatever it is, we reflect on what we've learned about our own style and what we've learned about other people's style as well. We reflect and remember going into those situations, how our style can make a difference. And when those experiences are over, we take the time to actually reflect on, okay, how did that go? In what ways did my style help me in that situation? And in what ways did it possibly get in the way? All right, so here are my top three, okay? Not necessarily in order because they're not in order. It depends on your situation, but all three of these would be the ones that I certainly would endorse and recommend. First of all, the DISC profile. Maybe you're familiar with this. And the Everything Disc is a great way to receive it, to use it. You can Google that, you can look that up, and also if you want, you can contact us, and we can connect you with that. We don't necessarily sell it, but we can certainly put you in touch with that resource. Okay. And what this does, you answer a series of questions. Many of you have probably done this. There's lots of different tools out there. This happens to be one of my favorites just because it's very practical and simple to administer and discuss with your team, with other people, with your direct reports, whatever it might be. And then when you answer these questions, it's going to give you a profile. And the profile isn't as simple as one of four categories, which are listed here, but it's a certain combination of these categories. Okay, so the D stands for more of a dominance type preference for profile. The I stands for an influencing type. So we're persuasive, maybe we're outgoing. The S stands for more of a steadiness type profile. And the C stands for a very conscientious, compliant, in a positive way profile. And oftentimes people are a combination of a couple of these, all right? So it actually gives you a good read on who you are and customizes it a little bit to who you are based on the questions that you answer. All right, the second one, again, not necessarily in order of preference, but another one would be the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, all right? You may be very familiar with this. This is the granddaddy. This has the biggest database of all of the style assessments that are out there. And basically what it does is measures you on 4 continuums. Okay, the first one is between extroversion and introversion. The second one is between being intuitive and being sensory. Okay. And so by sensory, it means that you're responding to tangible things right in front of you. Intuitive means that you kind of look at cause and effect. You look before and after. One example is if there is a fire in the room, a person that's strong on the end, the intuitive, is going to say, I wonder how this fire started. I wonder how we could prevent it from happening again. The person that's strong on the sensory side is going to say, there's a fire here. It's hot. We're going to burn. We need to get out of here. So those are some of the differences of how we view reality, how we view facts and figures and situations in front of us. The T stands for the thinker, the thinking preference, and the F stands for the feeling preference. Okay. And so the thinker responds to data, logic, decisions, all right, without much concern for maybe relationships. A strong F would be someone who really responds to and makes decisions based on their own feelings and based on the feelings that they assume someone else might have. Then there's the perceiving and the judgment. The perceiving is open-ended, process-oriented. There's not a lot of closure. Everything is still a work in progress. The J's, the judgment-oriented people, are the people that like to have things buttoned up. To-do list, checklist, they have a clean garage. And anyway, so if you answer questions, you get a report, and then my suggestion is you use that report. It gives you a profile for you. There's 16 different combinations. You use that profile to have a discussion with people that know you well. They can affirm, they can validate, and they can also give you a different perspective when your opinion is different than their opinion as to really what your preference and styles are. All right, the third one is SL2. SL2 is a leadership tool. It is one of my favorite leadership tools. It's one of the reasons why I partner with the Ken Blanchard companies. It was authored by Ken Blanchard and a guy named Paul Hersey years ago. You can Google that too. You can go to kenblanchard.com. There's lots of different ways that you can learn and apply the SL2 model and tool. All right. There are workshops. In fact, I incorporate SL2 in a lot of the leadership coaching and training that I do and that Learning Point does. And it's based on 2 questions. The first question is, well, actually 3 questions. The first question is, what is the goal or task that the person you're leading is working on? Is that clear? The second question then is, what is their commitment level and what is their competence level when it comes to succeeding at that goal or task? Commitment has to do with motivation and energy. Competence has to do with a person's skill and ability and experience doing that goal or task. And then based on that, you adjust your leadership approach to meet their needs. All right. And that's usually broken down into 2 categories of how much direction you provide to them and how much emotional or motivational support you provide to them. So obviously, if a person has a lot of competence, they're not going to need a lot of direction from you, right? But if they have just a little bit of competence, then they probably need a lot of direction. So think of maybe 4 different combinations. The person that has high commitment and high competence needs a certain leadership style from you. The person that has high commitment but low competence needs a different style from you. The person that has low commitment but high competence might need a certain style from you. And the person that has low commitment and low competence needs a completely different style from you. So it teaches you and helps you look at a situation, understand that situation, and then you provide the right leadership style to that situation. Once again, with all 3 of those tools, there's a variety of tools out there. Those are my top 3 favorite, is to use the tools to assess where you're at, to help you understand you, to gain more information, and then have a discussion on what you learn with people that know you well. The middle one, that middle step of discussing, is so valuable. Otherwise, it's just an academic exercise. And then use what you learn to reflect on the opportunities and situations that are in front of you every day. Okay. And so what is your style? What is that experience that other people have working with you? What is the style of those you lead? Do you understand that style? And can you adjust your approach to accommodate their style? Okay. And how flexible can you be from one person to the next? helpful for you. Hopefully that sparks just a little bit of interest in exploring your style, becoming more self-aware, and becoming more aware and understanding of the working styles of those around you. Hey, it's our experience that in doing so, it's going to raise your level of expertise, your level of effectiveness and proficiency when it comes to applying and working in your very, very important role as a leader. So hopefully that's helpful. Have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you soon.